And to talk about this, we're now joined by the Conservative House Leader, Andrew Scheer. Mr. Scheer, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Listen, we know that no other party is going to support your motion. So what's the point of tabling this motion before working with parliamentary colleagues to build some type of consensus on something?
Well, you know, we took the NDP at their word when stuntman Jagmeet Singh had an incredible display of theatrics where he ripped up the agreement with the Liberals and said that it was too weak and too tired and too beholden to corporate interests to continue governing. So we thought that he would actually back up his words with action and voting non-confidence. We've heard similar statements from the Bloc Québécois saying that this government is putting all kinds of on pressures on social programs and not respecting provincial jurisdiction, becoming a very centralizing government. So what we're really asking the other parties is, why go through the charade? Why go through all those theatrics if at the end of the day it was all just a stunt? So today we took the opportunity to highlight the reasons why we believe there should be a carbon tax election where Canadians can make the decision for themselves, because we look around and we see the effects of 9 years of NDP Liberal governments. Housing costs have doubled. The carbon tax is being hiked year after year. Tent cities are popping up in communities that never had them before, and there are now government-funded hard drugs like fentanyl and opioids being distributed in our community. So we believe that Canadians don't want to live under this terrible Liberal government anymore, and that they should have the choice to chart the course for the future. So that's why we moved the motion today.
Okay, so those are the arguments you're making, but to hear it from New Democrats, they openly question why they should be supporting this motion when your party did not support the dental care program that they built with the Liberals, that they're concerned about pharmacare that's not yet received royal assent. How do you answer those concerns from New Democrats if, in fact, and you do, need their support to bring this government down?
Well, let's remember, this is about whether or not the other political parties have confidence in the Liberal government. When Jagmeet Singh made that display pretending like the deal was off, he didn't seem to have any concerns about other factors. He said enough was enough. The government is too corrupt and too weak to continue. So he is now going to reverse himself and turn himself into a complete hypocrite by just a short time, about 3 weeks after making that declaration. He's now going to rush along and protect Justin Trudeau from the verdict of Canadians. So yeah, that's really a question for Mr. Singh about what happened in the last 3 weeks for him to do a complete reversal and embarrass himself in such a humiliating fashion.
Mm-hmm. Now, that is your criticism of New Democrats. I'm wondering what your response is to the Liberal government, though, because, for example, you talk about the carbon tax, wanting this to be a carbon tax election, and Liberals have clearly said, at the end of the day, the carbon tax is also a carbon rebate, which is helping Canadians to make life more affordable, and to cut the tax is to cut that rebate to Canadians. Is that not a concern that should be raised?
Well, let's keep in mind, as the Parliamentary Budget Officer has pointed out, that the vast majority of Canadian families pay far more in the carbon tax than anything they might hope to get back.
Although Liberals say 8 out of 10 Canadians get more than they pay out.
And they are excluding a very important part of the cost. See, what the Liberals don't want to tell you, and what they don't want you to know, is that all the knock-on effects, the secondary effects in the economy as trucking costs go up, as heating stores becomes more expensive for retailers, all those extra costs get passed down onto the consumer. So you might not see it as a line item on your fuel bill or on your home heating bill, but as prices go up, as all those other aspects of the economy have to pass on the cost, that you end up paying that too. And Canadians don't get to pick and choose what part of the carbon tax they pay. The Liberals are picking and choosing which parts of the carbon tax they want you to think about, but at the end of the day, it all comes out of your pocket. And let's keep in mind another very important factor here. The choice is not between whether or not to axe the tax with the Conservatives and keep it where it is with the NDP and Liberals. The Liberal NDP plan, when fully implemented, and when you add in Carbon Tax 2.0, which is the fuel standards, which will add another enormous layer of costs on Canadians, it will push up the total cost of the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre. That's going to have a devastating impact on the economy. Just the trucking costs alone, the Canadian Truckers Association has said that right now the carbon tax is taking $2 billion out of the economy. As it increases, that'll come up to $4 billion. The parliamentary budget officer, the government's own department has acknowledged that the total cost of the carbon tax will take over $30 billion out of the economy. So again, Canadians don't get to pick and choose which parts of the carbon tax they have to pay. They have to pay for all of it. And the parliamentary budget officer has confirmed when you factor all of that in, Canadians are worse off. So when we axe the tax, prices will come down and Canadians will be further ahead.
Okay, so axe the tax is the argument you're making. Although, you know, your leader also in the House today talked about cutting back bureaucracy in order to get back to a balanced budget. And the NDP basically say that is about cutting programs that Canadians need. Just how deeply will your party have to cut to get us back to balance?
Right. Well, what the NDP and Liberals never want to talk about is how Canadians are having to cut back themselves. Many Canadians are cutting back on the quality and quantity of food that they buy at the grocery store. I've seen tragic scenes where people in a grocery store that you know have jobs but are struggling with the cost of living crisis pick up something, look at the sticker, and have to put it back. So Canadians are making cuts because of this government's inflationary policies and high interest rates that have come along with it. But the NDP and Liberals never also want to talk about the government waste. The $35 billion infrastructure bank that hasn't completed a single project. The hundreds of millions of dollars that this government has funneled to high-priced consultants to duplicate work that our public service is already doing. Those are the types of areas that we can easily find savings for Canadians that won't affect core services, that won't affect the quality of services that Canadians depend on, and yet will allow us to provide other types of relief for working families. We currently live in a Canada after 9 years of the Trudeau Liberals where hard work is punished, people are taxed to death, they're not feeling safe in their communities, young people are giving up on the dream of home ownership because housing costs have doubled. And life wasn't like this just 9 years ago. This has all been the result of the Liberal government's policies. So again, I put the onus back on the NDP and Bloc. It's not that this government is failing to respond or that they don't have a plan to get us through troubled times because of external factors that have come to Canada. The problems facing Canadians are a direct result of the extreme and wacko ideological policies of this Liberal government supported by the NDP. And what we're hearing from Canadians from across the country is enough is enough. They don't want to put up with this anymore. They don't believe that they should be suffering and feeling this kind of misery at the hands of their own government. And we want Canadians to have that choice in a carbon tax election.
Okay, to make that choice clearer though, you know, you outlined these alternate areas where you might find savings. National child care, national pharmacare, national dental care. Are those on the chopping block if your party becomes government?
I know that there's a lot of interest in what the Conservative platform might look like. We're still a long way away from that, it seems, because of decisions of the NDP and Bloc to keep the Liberals in power. We will have a comprehensive platform that will show Canadians exactly where we are going to get back to balanced budgets. And I just point out that when previous Conservative governments have been in power, you know, if we look back to the previous Conservative government, we were able to provide tax relief, we were able to eliminate all kinds of government waste, and we were able to strengthen core services. Healthcare transfers under the previous Conservative government went up every single year that we were in office, and so Canadians can have confidence that core services will be protected as we eliminate wasteful and inflationary Liberal waste.
Andrew Scheer, thank you for the time.
Thanks very much.